Hello everyone, you're listening to VIT Community Radio 90.8 FM and I'm your RJ Niharika. Today we are discussing something that is particularly relevant for all of us, the young and old. We'll be diving into an issue that affects us every day, the impact of the sun on our skin. From sunburns to skin cancer, we'll explore how those rays we love can secretly harm our skin and what you can do to protect yourself. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. We live in a hot place like Vellore, we're used to the sun. But just because we're accustomed to sunny days doesn't mean we're immune to its harmful effect. To help us understand these concepts, today we have with us our esteemed panel, Professor Gayathri from SPST and Johan, Suchita and Tejaswini representing the student research team at VIT Vellore's I-Gem initiative. Let's get to know them a little better. So Johan, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Johan. I'm a third year biotechnology student and I'm really passionate about synthetic biology and its applications in health and medicine. Being part of the I-Gem team has been an amazing experience, especially working on projects that actually make a real difference.
Sounds great. Suchita?
Hello, I'm Suchita. I'm a final year biotech student and I'm currently the wet lab co-lead. I'm very passionate about synthetic biology, which led me to apply for I-Gem. The experience that I've gained through I-Gem has given me the opportunity to contribute to projects that focus on environmental and health issues like skin protection.
Fantastic. Tejaswini, your turn.
Hello, I'm Tejaswini, also a final year student in biotechnology and documentation lead for I-Gem VIT. So I work in wet lab and human practices team, and I love how the team collaborates to create innovative solutions, and I'm excited to see how our work benefits the community in the field of natural pigment production.
Sounds incredible. So firstly, could you tell me what I-Gem means?
So I-Gem stands for International Genetically Engineered Machine. It's an international level competition dedicated to the advancement of synthetic biology, education and competition, and the development of an open, collaborative and cooperative community. Our team I-Gem VIT bagged the gold medal for 2023 on our project on microplastic degradation. Our project this year comprises 16 members across multiple domains including the wet lab, dry lab, math modeling and human practices. Our principal investigators, Dr. R. Shiva, Dean of SPST, and Condenser and constant guiding, our project this year comprises 16 members across multiple domains including wet lab, dry lab, math modeling and human practices. Our principal investigators, Dr. R. Shiva, Dean of SPST, and Condenser are constant guiding forces for us throughout the journey of our project.
So let's dive into today's discussion about skin protection and the impact of the sun and what we are to do to keep ourselves safe. So we all know the sun is essential for life. It gives us warmth, light, and that all-important vitamin D. But it's also the same sun that can cause us a lot of trouble, especially with our skin. So Johan, can you tell us what's really going on when we step out into the sun? Is it just about sunburn or is there more to it?
There is more. You're right, Niharika. Especially in a place like Vellore, we experience really strong sunlight throughout the year. Most people tend to think that sunburn is the main problem, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The sun emits two types of UV rays, UVA and UVB. Now, UVA rays are what I call the hidden rays. They don't cause a burn, so you really can't tell, but they penetrate deep into the skin and cause long-term damage like wrinkles, aging, and even skin cancer over time.
Oh, so they're like silent attackers.
Exactly, and they are the reason why you see some people looking way older than they actually are, even if they haven't spent much time being sunburned. And what's even more concerning is that UVA rays can even get through windows. So if you're sitting by a sunny window all day, you're still getting exposed.
That's something I think most of us wouldn't expect. Now, how about the UVB rays? Those are the ones responsible for sunburn, right, Suchita?
Yeah. UVB rays are the ones that cause sunburn. They don't go as deep as UVA rays, but they're more intense. Let's say you go out between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's when the UVB rays are the strongest. And the sunburn is your skin literally screaming for help. It's telling you, I've had too much, let's go inside.
That makes sense. I've definitely felt the burn after forgetting sunscreen. As college students, we all spend a lot of time outdoors. Do any of you ever think about all of this when you're out in the sun?
Honestly, not really. I'd be out playing sports or just hanging out with friends, and I never really thought much about sun protection. And I'd get sunburned sometimes, but it really didn't seem like a big deal. But now, knowing so much more, I wish I'd paid more attention, because this is the type of damage that accumulates over the years. But all I can do now is just be more careful and take all the necessary precautions.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's easy to brush it off, especially when you aren't aware of the long-term consequences. Tejaswini, I'd like to ask you, have you been in contact with dermatologists? What was their opinion on people's willingness to use sun protection when needed?
Yes, Niharika. So we've had the same conversation with Dr. Anita, an expert dermatologist. It's definitely a challenge, especially with younger people who feel invincible. A way to think about it is that every time they step outside without sun protection, they're just adding a little more damage to their skin. It doesn't happen all at once, but over time, those little bits of exposure lead to things like premature aging, sunspots, and even skin cancer.
Yeah, this is not something that we usually think about. It's not just one day in the sun, it's the years of unprotected exposure that adds up, right?
Exactly. Most of the skin damage we see is a result of cumulative exposure over the years. The problem is that our skin has a way of forgetting to protect itself after a while, forgiving all the accumulated damage. You might be fine in your 20s, but by the time you're in your 40s or 50s, all those years of unprotected skin exposure catch up with you.
That's a bit scary. So basically, our skin is like a memory card for sun exposure. It never really forgets. And we might not see the damage right away, but it's there, waiting to show up later.
That's a pretty good way to put it. Our skin really does keep score. But unfortunately, unlike a memory card, it's not something we can reset.
So, you're saying that it's not just avoiding a sunburn on a single day, but it's about protecting our skin every single day, right?
Whether it is a sunny day or a cloudy one, whether you are at the beach or just running errands, that exposure keeps on adding up. Sunscreen is your daily shield against that damage.
We must protect our skin and, stay healthy long term. So now that we've covered how the sun can harm our skin, let's talk about something that sounds a bit more scary but is important to understand. Skin cancer. So as our expert here, Dr. Gayathri, could you give us a brief introduction on what it is?
Sure. Repeated damage from the sun leads to something called as mutation. That is the reason why the cells lose their normal behavior. Talking about skin cancer, there are a few types, but the main one which we can talk about is basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and the most dangerous melanoma.
Melanoma does definitely sound like a movie villain. So let's start with the first one, basal cell carcinoma. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Basal cell carcinoma, shortly we call them as BCC, is actually the most common type of skin cancer and the least dangerous if diagnosed early. It usually shows up as a little bump or a sore that doesn't heal. Think of it as the least evil of the skin cancer. It is not looking to spread much, but if you ignore it, it can cause damage where it is.
So you're saying it's more like a persistent problem that keeps hanging around. You can't ignore it, but if you deal with it early, it's manageable.
Yeah, you're right. Basal cell carcinoma doesn't tend to spread to the other parts of the body, but it can still cause damage if left untreated or undiagnosed. The key is early detection. If you notice a bump or a sore or a patch of a skin that isn't healing or looks unusual, it's really important to get it checked by a physician.
Got it. So it's something that's best handled right away before it turns into a bigger issue. Now, squamous cell carcinoma. That sounds a bit more serious.
Yeah, squamous cell carcinoma is a bit more aggressive. It can start out looking like a scaly patch of a skin or a sore. But again, if you are going to ignore, it has a very potential to spread to other parts of the body. It's not quite as dangerous as melanoma, but you definitely don't want to leave it unchecked.
So, would you say squamous cell carcinoma is something that starts small but can escalate into something much bigger if you don't take care of it right away?
Exactly. SCC squamous cell carcinoma often starts with a patch of rough or discolored skin. But again, if ignored, it can grow, even spread to other areas of the body. It's definitely something you don't want to let linger for a longer period of time. Catching it early makes a big difference because it's usually treatable if addressed quickly.
Got it. Okay, so now for the big bad guy, as you had mentioned, melanoma. How about you cover this one, Suchita?
Yeah. Melanoma is definitely the supervillain of this bunch. It starts in the melanocytes, which are the cells that give your skin color. The scary thing about melanoma is that it can spread to other organs if you don't catch it early. It might start as a mole that changes shape or color, or even a one that starts growing.
So it's like the shapeshifter of skin cancers, sneaky and hard to spot?
Exactly. Plus the thing about melanoma is that it doesn't care what age you are. Young adults can get it too, especially if you're someone who loves being out in the sun without sunscreen. The good news is that if you catch it early, it is highly treatable. So always be on the lookout for changes in your moles or any kind of new growths on your skin.
It's really interesting, yet scary to know that there are various types of such mutations. It's astounding how they lead up to the same issue, but their modes of attack are so different. I'd like to ask, is there some way we can prevent them?
Yeah, definitely. So prevention does exist, and the statement prevention is better than cure definitely applies here as well. So we've been working on a project at I-Gem this year to synthesize violazanthin, a natural compound that can help protect against the UV damage. It's not a replacement for sunscreen, but it could be a great addition to existing formulations to help reduce the risk of skin cancer.
That's cool. So not only are we talking about preventing skin cancer, but the I-Gem team is also working on actual solutions to help protect our skin. Amazing. Firstly, could you share some more information on sunscreens?
Sure, Niharika. Sunscreen is a vital part of protecting your skin from the harmful effects of UV radiation. It's not just a preventive measure against sunburn, it also significantly reduces your risk of skin cancers and premature skin aging. There are a lot of studies showing that the regular use of SPF 15 sunscreen can reduce your risk of developing squamous cell carcinoma by about 40% and lower the risk of developing melanoma by 50%.
It's good to know that we have sunscreens this effective now. Who would you say really stands to gain the most from using sunscreen in everyday life though?
The answer is very simple to everyone. Men, women and children over 6 months of age should use sunscreen every day. This includes people who tan easily and those who don't, as sun exposure damages skin over a lifetime, regardless of whether you burn or not. Babies under 6 months are the only exceptions. They should stay out of the sun and use shade structures and sun protective clothing instead.
Lucky babies, I'd say. We see a lot of brands and types of sunscreen on the market nowadays. What's the difference among them and what should I choose?
So, there are a lot of myths relating to sunscreens, but to choose well, we should consider some facts here. So, sunscreen comes in two main types, the chemical one and the mineral one. So, chemical sunscreen absorbs UV radiation, while mineral sunscreens like your zinc oxide or titanium dioxide creates a barrier on your skin's surface to reflect the UV rays. So if you have sensitive skin, mineral sunscreen might be a better option, although they can leave kind of a white cast on your skin. By incorporating sunscreens into your daily routine and following these guidelines, you can significantly reduce the risk of skin damage and skin cancer, ensuring a healthier and well-protected skin for years to come.
I see. Now, you mentioned myths. That's new. Could you elaborate on that and probably debunk a few for our listeners?
Sure. This is actually important, even more so as we discuss the importance of sunscreen in protecting our skin every day. It's really crucial to address some common myths and misconceptions that surround its use. There's a big misconception that wearing sunscreen prevents the body from absorbing vitamin D. However, no sunscreen blocks 100% of UVB rays, so you still get enough UVB exposure to produce enough vitamin D. Even with SPF 100, you'll still get approximately 2 to 3% of UV rays, which is still sufficient for vitamin D production.
The another myth that we would like to address here is about the ongoing debate about the safety of chemical ingredients in sunscreens like ozobenzone and avobenzone. Some argue that these chemicals can be absorbed into the bloodstream and cause health issues. However, lots of research has been done regarding this problem and it has not found a significant evidence to support these claims. And of course, more research needs to be done to validate this. For those concerned about chemical sunscreen, mineral sunscreens using zinc oxide or titanium dioxide or other natural compounds are considered safer and they're recommended for sensitive skin, children, and those with pigment concerns. Our team's solution is related to a natural compound as well.
I see. So this is how it works, because I apply sunscreen every day and I never knew that this is how it works. So you mentioned that the I-Gem team is working on an innovative solution involving a natural compound?
Yes, we are harnessing the power of genetic engineering to produce violazanthin. It's a natural pigment known for its potent antioxidant and anti-aging properties. So this breakthrough could change up the sunscreen world by adding a powerful natural defense against UV damage, enhancing skin protection like never before. So stay tuned for more updates on our I-Gem team wiki page or the Instagram page for more on how this innovation is set to change the skincare industry. For all we know, this can be the future of sun protection.
That sounds really cool. So my friends, remember to apply sunscreen daily, seek shade during peak sun hours and wear protective clothing. Early detection and prevention are key in the fight against skin cancer. Thank you so much, ma'am, and VIT's I-Gem team for your insights, and thank you for tuning in, dear listeners. Keep listening to VIT Community Radio 90.8 FM. This is your RJ Niharika signing off.